All right, good evening, night, whatever time it is with everyone. We're here today to go over a book review with our guy JC, known as Life Abolitionism. He has another channel as well. He was the one that had orchestrated um, the prior anti-natalist Black discussion I had posted on my channel that he had planned to have every one of us come together for the ones that he invited. I'm about to add you here in a moment, JC. I'm going to send the link in the chat. So for today, we're just going to be going over the book that he has. It's going to be similar to what we have later in the month with Peep the Mythos, with any different type of media and the media that you can create as well, which is very admirable. So I definitely am fortunate to have the opportunity to look to dive more into his book. I haven't read it, so he's going to bring a lot of the presentation here in this stream of the background context to the making of the book that he created. It's a great thing. So I'm going to drop as well the book in the chat. It should be in the link of the description for anyone that would want to inquire about obtaining it. Definitely would be a great read for somebody that's in this type of community and seeing this type of work. So I'm going to add him here to the stage. Hey, JC, okay?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, let me share the book in the chat here. Should be in the link description. It sounds like there's a what's the word in the background? Do you have the YouTube up?
Well, I just closed it so there wouldn't be an echo, but I can pull it back up.
Oh, no, I think it's okay. You don't have to pull it up. But I hear something in the background. That's what I was wanting to make sure you know. Let's see. I'll start here in just a moment. I'm going to just share the link of the book here in the chat. Yeah, I think that's going to be the easiest way. So when I may be talking, JC, wonder why the link looks like that. Sorry about that. But when I'm talking, I guess I'll mute and vice versa just to be sure the audio isn't going crazy, because I hear a little bit. It's not too much, but we'll work around it. So when I'm talking, JC, if you're able to mute, because I just want to be sure the audio is clear for everybody. Cool. So yeah, we're going to be going through this bit of a book discussion analysis over the book JC created on Whose Life Is It? And I think that's a very important topic for any one of us to look to get into with anyone, right? With our own life and any life that we create, like really who's the one that owns that life. And there's a reason why I honed in so much on this anti-natalist shit, because if you can understand that, and if you vibe with that, then you should be against this entire existence and abolishing that in and of itself here with my boy Life Abolitionism. And this title of the book, Whose Life Is It?, is a perfect representation of it, because we know our life isn't our own. And, with that, it's like, what else do you need to know? I mean, it's crazy to me how we're so dependent on other things, and we see that as okay. And now it comes to the point now that we have a state, other people that are governing us, all this level of restrictions, limitations that we have to go through. So it's an important book on just kind of highlighting the vampiricism. If you look at the Amazon page of the book, you're gonna see it, like, you know, like this life and how people are dependent on you. You know, it's not a good thing. If you're gonna say anything, to say it's good, it's gonna come with a lot of different negative consequences. So for the first question, JC, that I want to ask you, that was on my mind leading to this schedule of the meeting, was your, because, you know, if you may remember in the past talk we had with the discussion you created with the Black anti-natalist discussion, I told you, like, I don't really read books personally, but what made you choose that outlet is my question. I'm just so fascinated. I have like all the respect for people like you that create a media through the book avenue, um, because there is so much you can. I get it. There's so much you can like say. So a book, you know, you can create how many pages. Thinking says there's like over 400 pages that's in this book. So I get it in that aspect for sure. But I just wanted you to first get into, before I get into the whole, you know, what made you do this in the first place and everything for this particular media through the way of a book. If you can like get into your reasoning, context behind why you chose that outlet. I already know, of course, you make YouTube videos for One Other Way, but what made you create it for your, you know, you can say this philosophy. What made you, you know, do it in the lens of a book?
Well, I sort of make content that I would want to listen to or read myself. So I felt like there were some holes in anti-natalism that doesn't address the other side of it, that once life has been imposed on you, you're stuck. And David Benatar did not really address that. Schopenhauer does. He did support the right to die, but I felt that literature was really lacking in that area, and there was no strategic plan. There was no activism behind it. My book is really rooted in activism. It's not just sitting around whining about the human condition. It's about creating a strategy and really stating the obvious that we don't own our lives. I don't think that is even debatable. The Supreme Court does not even pretend that we own our lives. The state does not pretend that we own our lives. I think it's sort of not addressed. It's people just assume that they own their lives, but they can't really find any citations for that position. You don't own your life. So I just wanted to say it explicitly, and I wanted to explain it, because when I have these discussions, I sort of like me just going back and forth. Like I needed to put it all together, have the citations, so that when anybody asks me these questions, I have the reference. And I already knew that because I read Plessy, and Plessy explicitly, well, it has a definition which does not include self-ownership.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Just laying everything out is like important because there's a lot of things to say. You know, we got my boy Shangal, usual folks in the chat. Shout out. Let me put some on the screen. Clairvoyant. We got Divine Hazel here as well. Sean, I saw you from before. Vazen, of course, always there. But I wanted to highlight Shangal. If you can mute yourself, I just hear some audio. I'm sorry. Thank you. Similar like how you just mentioned, JC, with your book. You know, my boy Shangal, we're gonna get into hopefully later this month, we'll see, with another addendum to his anti-cosmic voidism series. But like my boy has hours upon hours, even myself with this chat, not this chat, the different streams I've done, you know, like we're saying a lot of shit, you know, time and time again, hours upon hours of content. So yeah, putting it in the way of a book is more intentional in a sense, because even though it might feel a lot, like again, if you go to the Amazon link, it's over 400 pages, but it's even more succinct given the fact that you know, when you write a book, you're gonna have to edit, you know, review your drafts, this, that, the fourth. So there's a lot of, you know, redoing before you actually get to the point of publishing. So yeah, I definitely feel you for that. And just again, kudos, because there's a lot of discipline, that takes doing something like that compared to just hopping on to a stream like this and just yapping like I always do. So I just give a lot of respect for people like you, JC, and again, very fortunate to be here today to get into some points of the book. So you kind of already got to my next question that I was going to ask you for the basis for why you were wanting to create, you know, this presentation. Of course, we went to the method of the presentation with the way of the book, but also with like why you're wanting to create this, and you went into the fact that those different philosophers in the past with Benatar and Schopenhauer. Um, Overall, there was just a bit more that you wanted to include. Um, in response to all the different, again, philosophies, different viewpoints that you've gone to with your life. And from there, it kind of made you be like, okay, well, there's not yet enough being presented to the people. But if you can also get more into that fact before I get into the next question, just on the basis that you wanted to represent with the book, if you can say just in a general basis of things, what exactly you were wanting people to make sure they understood with the intention behind this book.
Okay, well, life abolitionism is partly, it does have a basis in antinatalism, but it's a synthesis of antinatalism, elective pro-mortalism, socialism, and anarchy. So it's 11 chapters, and I break it down that we don't own our lives. Our parents put us in the system. The state deprives us of disposal rights. And using that Plessy versus Ferguson definition of slavery, the deprivation of the right to the disposal of one's own person, property, and services. And then I explain at length that the state interferes with our disposal rights in all three domains, which equals total enslavement. It's not chattel slavery. I call it life slavery, that the state owns your life, that the state basically controls all the most important domains that would lead to freedom. You don't have any freedom. And I also talk about how the state has immunity. The state can literally do whatever it wants and get away with it because there is no actual social contract. There is no reciprocity with duties and obligations. Like duties and rights. You have duties to the state, but you don't actually have rights. At least not rights that are enforceable. So the police, they can do whatever they want. They can destroy your property. They can literally take your life and then claim qualified immunity. Your loved ones would have no legal recourse. And so I sort of explain that you don't own your life. It's all this extraction that is going out for everyone else's benefit. You don't exist for your own sake. You exist for everyone else's sake. You are a gift to your family, to the state, to the collective, but you're not a gift to yourself. It's pure duties on your side, pure extraction. That's why I chose that book cover, because it's like gimme, 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 and then you sort of get guilt tripped into existing for everyone else. But I don't just hold the state accountable or parents. I hold the public accountable also. That the public supports democracy. They support your enslavement. They support the criminalization of medical assistance. So everybody is complicit in this whole narrative.
Yeah, man, that last part was, yeah, I love that last part because a lot of what this book, I read the synopsis on the Amazon description. um how you've watched some of the different streams we've had and the different scales of reality. People stop on certain levels and can understand and have a gripe, an issue with what certain levels are signifying. And that level of a state, who there's so many people right now, with the whole Epstein files and people wanting to throw tomatoes on the elites. Okay, cool. But what exactly are we going to do about it? So I love how you ended that right there with the accountability with the public, and how, like my boy Shango was saying here in the chat, we are all complicit. What is it called? Silence is complicity. There's a way to rhyme it, but yeah, that's it. There's a book or something called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. And that's what it is. There's like psychological warfare going on right now. And I hone in on what you just ended there, JC, with like, hold up, we have a level of control with this, right? Let alone with the unborn and everything. That's easy. But right now, in technicality, we could do something. We're here right now. What can we do about it? And so that's huge. That's huge. And let me say something too. With the media of a book, medium, this is something where you can just pass it to somebody, someone that's a loved one. It might be easier in a sense for certain people. I'm just of the certain mentality of, let me at least put you privy, even if you say this is something that the presentation specifically of a book, let alone a book cover. That cover, like you mentioned, is great. um just give it to somebody. If I had millions of dollars, I would buy hundreds of your book, bro. Just sit on the street, say, here you go, for anyone that's of any inquiry. Because yeah, it's just another great method to try to voice further out this what we're trying to highlight with this shit. But yeah, man, that public accountability, when you were harping on that real quick, I was like, man, that's my boy. Like, that's everything to me. That's why I'm here where I am right now, and I'm not trying to, hone in on what other people are doing. People are going to do what they're going to do. But what are we doing about it? Like you're saying, people can complain all the time, and we're complaining in our own sense too. Sure, for sure. But you should see the level of authenticity to even say that. And then from there, seeing what can we do on top of that. And that's why we're all here to this current path in our lives. And yeah, I feel you, man. I feel you, man. The extraction is going on all around us. And yeah, it's just finding better ways that we can look to provide different solutions. And like you were saying with the euthanasia, we're going to get into that as well. Um, but for another question that I can ask you following that, because the title of the book, it says the moral debt for life enslavement. What if you can go more into like that basis of that phrase, the moral debt for life enslavement?
Okay, well, there's two debts this debt that the parents owe for imposing life on you, which I believe there's four different elements. Competent parenting, they owe you a mandatory inheritance. Basically, they need to give you some type of life skill so that you can survive independent of them. And I forget what the fourth is. I actually have charts. Let me see. I don't know if you want me to show the charts, or you just want me to explain it.
Oh, you can share the charts if there's a way. Even if you can maybe send it to me, maybe on Discord. Yeah, I can share the screen, and yeah, I would. If you can share your screen or somehow, yeah, we want to. Yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can share it. Let me. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. All right. So, life enslavers create persons who provide continuous benefits to the life enslavers. Oh, that's too big.
Yeah, when you zoom in, can you zoom in not as much potentially? But yeah, that's great to kind of try to zoom in a bit more from where it is right now. If you can zoom in a bit more.
All right. I think that's all right.
That's good.
So these benefits include meaning, purpose, emotional satisfaction, social status, legacy, and existential validation. The persons created never agreed to provide these benefits. Life enslavers extract these benefits without providing compensation, When one party benefits from another without consent and without compensation, this constitutes unjust enrichment. Unjust enrichment creates a moral obligation to provide restitution. Therefore, life enslavers owe a moral debt for life enslavement to those they create. And yeah, I guess that's it. But there's yeah, it's two layers because there's two breaches. Two breaches. The parents breach by imposing life on you without consent and extracting value, but the state and the public also have a separate debt, because they're also denying you the right to opt out by through state violence, by criminalizing medical assistance, by forcing you to exist against your will. They incur a separate debt for your enslavement. And that I don't know if you want me to say that now, if you want me to explain it later. That is they have to either recognize your natural right to opt out whenever you want at will without any restrictions, or they have to pay the full cost of your involuntary existence in the form of socialism, full maintenance for all of your living expenses, for your transportation, your housing, your healthcare, your education costs. You should not have to pay anything because your life does not serve you, it serves them. You should not have to work. They should pay for it because it's for their benefit. It's not for your benefit. When they talk about how life is a gift, it's a gift to them. You are their gift, but they don't have to pay for it. You have to pay to maintain your own involuntary existence, and that is not right. So, of course, I can't force anybody to pay for it. But what I'm saying is, I'm exposing the illegitimacy of this entire system. It's pure extraction. It's unjust enrichment. And the reason that I frame it as unjust enrichment is to separate it from the standard anti-natalist arguments. People are saying that a non-identity cannot be harmed. You can't be harmed until you exist. So it doesn't matter. If you think that that is correct and you can't be harmed until you already exist, then I'm saying that you're harmed because of unjust enrichment. Now you're here. Now your life does not benefit you. It benefits everybody else, and they have not paid restitution. So therefore, there is a moral debt for life enslavement. Now let me, I can close that out. So there's no.
No, I love this chart right here. Like we can keep tackling each point. I love the overview that you just went through.
Okay.
If you can mute just real quick, I'm going to make a couple points, and I'm going to ask you different points regarding the different sections because yeah, I love different diagrams and stuff. I'm sure I'm not the only one. But yeah, I like how you went into that different breakdown for their debt. It starts initially with the begetters. We know that, and then from there, we're not just living for, even though directly we are living for our family directly, but there's a state, there's that superstructure, without question. Let me get Shingal's post off the screen. Boy, I forgot about that. So yeah, for again, those two different debts, it starts with the parents and it goes to the state. And then from there with the state, because they love to say, all this level of glibness, that, oh, we're just here to better your life, or let alone like right now with like Iran or some shit, they want to promote democracy and shit, whatever we're doing as the world empire and trying to make justification for the harm that's imposing. That's all it is. When you're imposing harm, you have to try to justify it, but there's no justification for unnecessary harm, which all this is, right? We're unborn in theory, and now we're dragged here. And now we're like, what the fuck? So it starts with the parents, but then the state is backing it up, like you're saying, because they're continuing us being here when they have. Like they try to say, oh, we're trying to make things better. That's why they have different social programs and everything. Well, no, it's all a facade or facade. Because there's many ways. There's plenty of people that have different theories, like you mentioned. In essence, a form of socialism, basically helping those that are here. You know what I mean, and taking accountability for those that are here that are helping other people here. You know what I mean, with all the services that everyone is providing to some degree. And like you mentioned, for those that are willing to opt themselves out, having that as a resource here, the fact that that's not a given. I mean, I don't know what time in the future, if that's even hopefully a resource for assisted euthanasia, and then they look back at our time now and they're like, yo, how did you guys live like this? You know how we look back like centuries ago, we look at all the different crazy tragedies that happen, right? There's going to be a time, hopefully, that people look at our time now and they're like, yo, you guys kept people here out of their will, people that wanted to get the fuck out, and you still kept them here? How savage. And we know existence at bottom is savage, but I'm just talking different layers. The very fact, again, that there is no opt out, graceful exit for people is savagery. So starting with the first point with this chart, you mentioned life enslavers create persons who provide continuous benefit to the life enslavers. And that's what it is. Like you mentioned with your image of the book cover, you know, it's the vampiricism. Even if you're here, the very fact that we come here, that's why, like you mentioned, the dead with our parents initially, that's a big deal, man. You know, people just think this procreation game means, in a sense, nothing, but it's the biggest thing we can do. You know what I mean? And so taking more accountability and value in the fact that people are putting people here. So I just love that first point. Like there are life enslavers. That's where it starts before we get into any other traditional slavery. That's where it is. And we have to be honest and try to further express how that's criminal. Okay. In the clear sense that I know everyone listening to this understands, but expressing that, you know what I mean? If anyone comes to you and they're making any political view, this is what I mean with the Epstein shit. Yes, things can be worse, sure. But the very fact that you and I are here is technically the worst thing because it brings the opportunity for any such thing to then occur. So, this is where it starts, life enslavers. From there, they are, like you mentioned, JC, in debt, you know, to us. If you want to make any points to that before I get to the second point, I just wanted to hone in. Like, we need to further express this to people. This is what I mean. Like, if people are talking any political shit, and people are, because that Epstein shit, let me tell you, man, people are like, wow, even though they should have already known, it's nothing new for a lot of people that I already know that these people are pedophilic, you know, perverts, all this shit. You know what I mean? The question is what are you going to do about it? So if you want to even talk about it, no, I'm going to hold you accountable and saying, what are you really doing? You know what I mean? And at the very least, with doing nothing, with denialism, there's a truth with that. You know, not putting somebody to have to be here, because technically, if you're not doing something, that means you're not procreating. Okay, so if you want to make any point on that before I get to your second box, there, JC.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify where this chart came from. This comes from chapter 2 of my book, and my book is cited as figure 2.1. There's actually two charts. This basically explains how they incur the debt, and then 2.2 explains what the debt actually is. So there's another chart that goes along with this.
Okay, yeah, we'll look at that chart then in a moment. Appreciate that context. So from here, you said these benefits include meaning, purpose, emotional satisfaction, social status, legacy, and existential validation. And that's exactly what it is. You know, that's why we're here. You know, the legacy is the biggest. All those terms are perfect, but one that highlights a lot there for me is legacy, right? That's what we are for them. It's like, okay, then we are clearly, like, we have a debt of our own now to try to, you know, the imposition of a lifestyle. Now we're just placed to have to try to achieve certain goals, you know what I mean, that we never asked for. And so again, signifying that is important because it can come again to the point of, I mean, all the different harms you see, it starts with that. People are placed to have to do things, and then they can get to these negative type of realities, but it starts with people having to do things. We are placed to have to do things because, like you mentioned here, we are needing to be of this emotional satisfaction, you know, for other people, the validation. So if you're needing to be validated for somebody else, that means like you have to put yourself in a certain spotlight, right? With the what's another term you put there? The social status, right? If you have a certain social status, usually you don't just get that. You have to earn that, right? So all this is you needing to have to do things for other people. And I hate that shit. I hate that shit. When we get into the next stream with Peep the Mythos, with the archonic force, What I'm going to talk about with just all these different forms of media, you can see the level of demiurge, archon reality, and all that is people that are trying to rule and govern over you. Saying, oh, you can't do this. Oh, you need to do this. Says who? And so, with getting into the meaning, purpose here that my boy JC is highlighting, yeah, that needs to be further signified. So I appreciate that breakdown because, again, just the way that you put it, it's vampiric. Every time I'm done talking, and just in case you want to say anything, I'm gonna stop before I get to the next box. So if there was anything there, JC, you can let me know.
Yeah, just to clarify, the social status is being a parent, being a mother, father. That is a social status. It comes with rewards. People respect the fact that, oh, I'm a mother. Like, you don't have to accomplish anything. Just being a mother is a social status, or being a father.
Oh, 100%, 100%. They've done their part. You know what I mean? Now it's place us to have to now, but yeah, on their end for that level, yes, that comes with just breeding, without question, without question. Yeah, I was more so signifying that, of course, when you look at celebrities or famous people, public figures, that father mother is going to further bolster up their social status because you're making one of your own now of a higher essence. But yes, great points to clarify that they already get a higher social status with just putting you here. Because, yeah, they get that title in and of itself. Thank you. Yeah, so next point, the persons created never agreed to provide these benefits, and that's just the case. I think every one of us knows the high value with the lack of consent, the imposition with reality. It's funny when people like to say the consent argument doesn't make sense, but then again, you look at reality and all the different things that you don't consent to. Did any one of us consent to the fact that we are being ruled by people that are raping, pillaging, other fucking areas? You know what I mean? No, no one agreed to that, right? Okay, so we can apply the same principle to how we're here now when we never agreed to any, because there's no way we could, right? And so if we understand that, what are we going to do about it, right? On any scale, whatever scale you feel comfortable to do something, great. But that part right there with never agreeing, it's like, hold up. If no one agrees to this, then yeah, all this shit can go as it should. So yeah, another great point there. I'll let you go, JC, in case there was anything there you wanted to mention.
Sorry, I was on mute. No, I don't have any comments for that one.
All right, cool, cool. So next point, let's see. Life enslavers extract these benefits without providing compensation. Yeah, I mean, whatever compensation they want to say they're giving us, it's not suitable. I mean, whatever. I mean, I just think it's crazy how we have people that have multiple jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like, one job is not sustainable enough. And for a certain amount of people, if you can say the majority, if not most, it's not like they're trying to live a certain lavish lifestyle. It's just the rent's too damn high, insurance, different bills. You know what I'm saying? And the state knows this. The state knows, okay, yes, we have people working multiple different jobs to just sustain living above the water. You know what I mean? Just making ends meet, barely. The state knows this, right? So whatever compensation that they want to say that they are providing with these, say, wages or whatever social programs, whatever the fuck the state and anyone is doing, it's a facade. It is a facade. So yeah, this compensation, if they even want to say there's anything there, it's faulty, faulty as fuck. Um, yeah, so I just wanted to mention that, like, because it's basically no compensation. There's not going to be anything truly, at least at the very least, if there's one thing they can do, again, with the assisted euthanasia, like provide that for us there. You know what I mean? So that we don't have people just having to strung along another day. And, but yeah, go ahead, JC. I saw you unmute your mic.
Yeah, I was going to say that the moral debt for life enslavement is irreparable. There is no way to fully compensate anyone for this imposition. The only thing you can do is you can provide partial restitution, but there is no way to actually pay it off. And now on this other chart, once we get to it, I basically say that the child, the person who had life imposed on them, they can discharge the debt, but the parents can't discharge it, right? If you can forgive your parents and discharge it because you think they were a good parent or whatever, but they can't do it. It has to be from the life slave.
Very important, right? Like, let us have that account for saying if something is able to get validated, yeah, and not just them saying, "Oh, this is a no." Let us be the ones. I for sure fuck with that. All right. So, next point: when one party benefits from another without consent and without compensation, unrich, unjust enrichment. Yeah, that's what it is. A criminality. That's all it is right there. It's just highlighting that. I love that. Um, and it needs to be said. It needs to be said. I hate the hierarchy of existence, people feeding off of other people, because like you said, there's not going to be a true compensation while we're here. It's just partial um level of fulfillment for the time thereof. So yeah, I love that point. I'm gonna keep going real quick. So next point, you say unjust enrichment creates a moral obligation to provide restitution, and that's what we should look to express for. I mean, what else are we gonna do? For people that are here that are in worse positions than you, yeah, we should look to fight for that. Because if it's not going to be us, it's not going to be anyone. And so, at least having these conversations, is very important. And you say, therefore, life enslavers owe a moral debt for life enslavement to those they create. Yeah, very fitting. Very fitting. Yeah. So if there was the next chart, is this the next one here you have?
Sorry, let me just unmute myself. The forfeiture criterion: life enslavers forfeit opt-out rights until they discharge the moral debt for life enslavement. Person enslaved (parentheses imposes existence). The MDLE automatically is incurred. Moral debt is owed to each life slave created. Life enslaver voluntarily created this situation. The forfeiture criterion: life enslaver forfeits the right to opt out (parentheses medical assistance and dying) until all four requirements are met. Now, here are the four requirements to discharge the moral debt for life enslavement. Number one, competent parenting. Provide adequate care during childhood. Prepare life. Maybe I need to zoom in a little bit. Prepare life slave for independent adulthood. Respect for autonomy. Recognize life slave as fully independent agent. Accept life slave's right to opt out of existence. No manipulation, guilt, or emotional blackmail. Mandatory inheritance. Forced heirship. Minimum 50% of estate to life slaves. Cannot disinherit life slave. This is compensation, not a gift. I hate that I used the word compensation. It should be restitution. And the reason why I say 50%, because if the parent is married, then that spouse is entitled to 50%. But if they're unmarried, then their children should get 100% of the estate. Explicit consent from all life slaves. Must be explicit, informed, and freely given. If life enslaver has multiple life slaves, all must consent. Life slaves can withhold consent for any reason. Unanimous consent requirement, even one refusal blocks their right to opt out. Only when all four requirements are met, life enslaver regains right to medical assistance in dying, assuming the state prohibition has ended. The forfeiture criterion is automatic. By choosing to enslave, the life enslaver voluntarily accepts these conditions. The life slaves or creditors have authority over whether to release the life enslaver who is the debtor.
Damn, you got that shit all laid out. My goodness. Wow, I don't even know where to start. So yeah, just going from the top, a lot to unpack here with the forfeiture criterion. Person enslaves imposes existence. Then you had that breakdown of the MDLE automatically incurred. Um, Man, I mean, that's a great breakdown. I don't even know where to where to go after that. You explained it every. I mean, you talked about everything um, in terms of what's the different points there. But if you were to say um, with the different breakdown, so this is all you. This is just like you just created this layout and like was there any particular resource at all that made you, if this was you, create this, or like just in terms of the breakdown, it's just so interesting how you created this if it was, just off of your own. I just wanted to ask that.
Well, because of, I mean, it's like my parents. I don't want to make it about me, but it's just like a lot of people's parents were inadequate or insufficient. They did not provide competent parenting. They extracted. They were narcissistic and abusive. They did not prepare their children for the world. And then in my case, I was disinherited from my by my father. So I don't think that parents should have any right to disinherit their children. It doesn't matter how long they were estranged. If a child is estranged from the parent, it's always the parent's fault. It's either nature or nurture. The nature is their fault because you got 50% of their DNA. The nurture is their fault because they raised you to where you became estranged from them. So they were the ones in control. They had the agency. You did not. It's always the parent's fault, no matter what. Um, Even if the child is the most disrespectful child on the planet, that is the parent's fault because they raised that child and that child still has 50% of the parent's DNA. So there is no excuse for disinheriting your children. You receive all the benefits from it. You receive the legacy. The child is here, whether they want to or not, they still exist. You get your legacy, you get your validation, you get your social status at their expense. There is no excuse for disinheriting your children.
And to piggyback off of what you just said there, I further wanted to highlight, you were mentioning even if the child is disobedient, because that is an important point in the fact that it should get people to try to further contemplate, is this something that I should do? Given the lack of guarantee, the uncertainty, with existence. And so the clear reality as we see it, we've all seen certain kids where it's like, damn, that's that's a bad boy, and like very disobedient. And yeah, they have the right, the natural reason for them to be, gaining what you're looking to say they have the opportunity to gain. Because yeah, it doesn't matter who it is, the very fact that they're placed here. But again, like how you were mentioning, I just thought that was very important. It doesn't matter your moral aptitude to try to conform with the different societal expectations of behavior. Like, no, the fact that you were imposed this lifestyle means that you should be given that this template. Yeah, I feel you on that. um yeah, so when you were talking and going through it, can I look at that number 4? If you can scroll down again there. I'm not sure. Okay, you're cool, cool. Can scroll to number 4 again and zoom in just maybe 1 or 2 clicks. Okay. So it says explicit consent from all adult life slaves must be explicit, informed, and freely given. If the life enslaver has multiple life slaves, all must consent. Life slaves can withhold consent for any reason. Unanimous consent required, even one refusal blocks opt out. Can you further get to those points again, and why you wanted to kind of stress that last bullet point?
Do you want me to scroll up or scroll down?
No, this is good. We see it good on the screen. If you can just kind of go further into this number 4 and that last bullet point in particular.
What I'm basically saying is that it's a debt that is pose on the parents that if they want the right to opt out themselves, they basically, because Against Life 1000 is trying to make that an option for people. And as I really would like to talk to her about it, because I think we sort of agree on this one point that they should not have the right to opt out if they have children. But the caveat is if they get consent from all of their children and their children are okay with it, then they should have that. But in the application process, they should have to disclose whether they have children and get consent from them, because they owe this debt. This is a debt that they chose voluntarily, and they should not get to opt out. Even if it's not just for minor children. You still owe a debt to your adult children to leave them an inheritance. And if you don't, you can't die leaving them debt that you have not paid off. You need to leave them an inheritance, and once they have cleared that and they consent to you having the right to opt out, then you can have it. You can get that medical assistance, but you have to get approval from all of your children first.
Yeah, very important. Very important. Yeah, from all the children, like you were saying from before, because even if one's not, then it's not sufficient. You know what I mean? I appreciate you further breaking that down. And yeah, I definitely agree that that would be a great thing. Because you just don't know. And like you're saying, putting more further debt on them if you don't have that already, finished out. Very important to be sure that everyone's on the same page. Yeah, I like that. I like that for sure. So, if I were to say, just given from the different charts, I appreciate you having that from the book. Definitely something I need to check out. I have it on the Kindle. I'm going to look to definitely this month read it and whatnot for the time I have. But these different implications, if we were to just theorize, like this was able to be implemented, it's happening now, these different um legalese, what have you. um what would you like see it like if you were to try to contemplate that type of reality compared to what we have now. I always just say with like euthanasia assisted means in and of itself, you know, that of course is not, you're going way beyond that. But if you were to say like how that type of world would look, if these different things were implemented, given your own perspective, how would you see it for that type of reality if these different things were actually, instituted?
Well, they all work in tandem towards promoting anti-natalism, and I mean, I'm sure we're not going to get to cover all of it, but there are additional social consequences for society that forces you to continue existing. But just to stick to the parents, right? You would be disincentivized to procreate. You would have to think long and hard about whether you would want to procreate, given that you would have a duty to leave your children with an inheritance. You would deny yourself the right to opt out. You would it would be made clear that the duties only flow one way. Parents owe duties to their children. Children do not owe duties to their parents. And it also disincentivizes, or it makes you think long and hard about your return on investment, because parents procreate, they assume that they're going to outlive their children, so they don't have to think about it. But if the right to medical assistance is legalized and your child can actually opt out at any moment, you're going to have to think about that. Do I actually want to invest 18 years in raising this child who may choose to opt out, and I don't get the return on investment that I thought I was going to get? I'm not going to get the legacy, the social status, the validation. I don't get the lifelong benefits that I thought I was going to get. And it is about extraction. You can say that it's love. It is conditional love. They love their children based on what their children provide to them. And so if they're not guaranteed to get that, because the child could choose to no longer exist, they may be deterred from procreating.
Yeah, I see. The further intention with procreating would definitely be a given that now there's more of a leash, there's more of a penalty, clearly, with these things. And even if you want to opt out yourself, like you were mentioning with that number four, explicit consent, from those that you would impose life, you got to make sure you get that complicit, or excuse me, explicit consent from them. So there's more. It's kind of like with the rat, and trying to catch it. Like, we're trying to be sure, like, there's no way out. We're gonna hold you accountable to this shit, and that's all it is. Like, I'm all about holding people accountable to the different actions that we do. You know what I mean? If you're not doing anything, then what is there now to be accountable for? If there's nothing to account for, if you're not doing anything, it's people that are doing shit. Okay, if you're doing shit, now you need to have justification. It's similar to like the atheism and theism. um when you're trying to make a justification for a god, well, that's the thing, right? You need to back up that claim. That's why now you're just. So if you're doing any action, there should be accountability. And this whole book, these different points, is just further getting into that, because parents, as we're seeing, they're not accountable. If anything, they're given more permission to do what they're doing, right? All the different social programs and shit that people get, the EBT cards and whatnot. You know what I mean? And they're further using their kids as, like you're putting in that image of your book, as just a source of fucking supply for their own. Um, so yeah, man, that is everything what I'm about right now, trying to restrict people and the vampiricism that they're doing. Because yeah, it's fucked up. If you want to say anything is fucked up, it starts there, with how people are being imposed this existence, and the incentive they have. So we need to reverse that process as soon as we can. So I really appreciate, yeah, you creating this book, JC. And yeah, if there is any particular, because these charts are great. I'm happy that we got to kind of break down these different points. If there's, because like you were mentioning, you mentioned something maybe not getting. Listen, whatever you want to get into, this is a space. You can go ahead. I want you to definitely advertise this, as much as you are wanting to, because just the level of, because this is another form of art. We talked before with Mark and the different artwork he does, but this one's even, this takes even more time in a sense, given all the pages you've done. Again, over 400 pages, and all the charts and things that you did, typing and shit. I mean, this is a lot of work. So if there's anything from here currently going forward, that you want to either mention, any other further diagrams, charts that you would want to show, please, you can go ahead.
No, I think we've covered everything. I do want to respond to Amber J's comment. This concept would make a good as movie / TV series plot. Yeah, I'm already working on something. I'm not going to say it here because I do have some haters, and I don't want anybody to try to gatekeep or say anything negative. So yeah, I already have something in the works about related to my book.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome, bro. Because any form of media, get them what, it's like a punching bag. We've done the YouTube side. Here we are with the stream side. Here's the book element. And so in terms of, say, a TV series, people love media. You know what I mean? A movie, yeah, that's definitely another way to hit, because we're just trying to get people to be empathetic in a sense, to understand, the points that we're trying to illustrate. You know what I mean? Whatever way that can get in their consciousness, is all it is. Whatever method that takes, And so, kudos for anyone like you, JC. Anyone that's just doing something, man. I say that this is our life's work. I don't give a fuck what else we're doing to maintain our carnal flesh. This is what we're right now needing to do in whatever amount we can, because it literally matters. It literally does. Yes, like Shingao says in the chat, Mythos feeds the subconscious. So I appreciate you, Amber, putting that further light into JC in this Accord, and anyone else, that has any idea, what have you, if you have a certain artistic ability, implementing these different points into that is it would be amazing, and so I'm happy to hear, JC, that yeah, you are looking to incorporate those different outlets with the the description, the different points that you're trying to address, because right now it's more than what it was, say, a decade from before, but it's still, needs to be more. Each and every day we need to try to just gravitate more people, even if, say, such people are not doing anything per se, but more people need to be privy to these points, even myself, because these different points that you're highlighting, you know is making me reflect further, again, with just, again, whether the parents or the state aspect, and how they need to be held more accountable. You know what I mean? Because I'm in a certain age right now where people that I've grown up with personally, just to talk a little bit about that real quick, they're doing this procreating game, man, and they just think because it's a life story, apparently this Disney play that we're doing, that it just goes without any justification. But no, you should provide the justification. That's why, again, you just say a couple words from the current events: Epstein, Iran bombing, nuclear threats. It's like, hold up, and you're putting your son or daughter in that type of world. You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? So at least making that further in their conscious is important. So yeah, I really do appreciate you presenting that for people to look to see, because yeah, we, like, again, you're stirring my consciousness with just those different diagrams and everything, because some of those points I haven't necessarily seen from other people. So I just appreciate you, again, taking the time out to create that form of dialogue with your book. But yeah, if there's anything that you want to further mention or anything, I know you said that was the basis to the book, but following what I said, or anything that you want to say currently.
Right. And I guess my critique would be that anti-natalism has been relegated to philosophy and academia. We do discuss Benatar's book, Better Never to Have Been. They discuss the asymmetry, but I mean that book was published in 2006. Anti-natalism really has not grown. It's not. There's no public policy push behind that, and so I'm trying to change the discourse a little bit to where it's not just purely philosophical, that it's more social, that it basically becomes a social movement, comparable to like veganism. Veganism is a movement. I don't think anti-natalism is a movement. No, there's nothing, there's no public policy behind it. It's just endless talk, and it's not leading to anything.
Yeah, I agree completely. I had one of my videos exactly like, well, what's moving? If anything, it's just abstaining. And there's not, yeah, much public policy that you see at all. I only use that term antinatalism personally because it's I forgot the term, but like it's a staple point. Like it's a reference. People can like be like, okay, what is this word? What does that mean? And so it should let you know, okay, fuck this reality. You know what I mean? But yeah, seeing what we can do more so in the public policy realms, social aspects with the social movements, and joining hands and bonding with each other. That's why I'm doing these streams. With connecting with people like you, and having bonds. I think I don't give a fuck who you are. When people are doing something and you're of a certain essence, I had a prior post on my channel. People were going in on Amendum. Shout out to Amendum and all these other people that are at least talking or something. But the point is, if someone's doing something more than you, even talking something of a higher essence than you, don't bat them down. You know what I mean? So in this respect, with wanting to do public policy, why it doesn't matter if you're anti-cosmic voidist, or pro-mortalist. Like, we should all be bonding with each other because we're of the same essence, identifying this unfortunate reality that's imposed to every one of us. You know what I mean? So it's just seeing who's about it, and then from there, yeah, seeing what exactly we can do for the benefit of people that are already here. because we already know the unborn, for those that are here, we're not, but looking to further hone in on what exactly we can do instead of just yapping is important. Because solutions are solutions, and very important. Go ahead, JC. I saw you on mute.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the whole amendum thing. I saw because I was on the outside looking and I didn't really understand what that was about. Now I am on the inside. Now I know exactly what that is about. It's exactly what you said, that someone else has a vision, someone else has actually made contributions to the community, and then there's haters who are on the sidelines spectating. They don't contribute anything. They're trying to bottom feed. They're trying to make a name off other people's work. And the reason why I see it so clearly now is because the same thing is being done to me, that this person is trying to make a name off of my work. And basically, I'm getting the same treatment. The accusations aren't the same. Nobody's accusing me of harming children. But even when I looked at that, it's like there's no merit to any of that. It's all based on conjecture. It's based on speculation, and it's based on the fact that someone else has not contributed anything, and they're trying to make a name off of someone who has made greater contributions. So this person has not made any contributions, no original ideas, no original works. The only so-called contributions is to gatekeep and be a detractor against other people. Now I'm his latest victim. So smear campaigns, defamation, lies, just making up stuff. Now I see it. I didn't see it before, and now I finally get it.
Wow, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry to hear that. That's something that you've been having to go through. Fuck, I mean, I don't know what to say to that, but yeah, don't let it get to you is all that I at least can say right now. Because the mission is more than that, that's my thing. If you're focused on the matter at hand, you know that this is beyond any one of us. You know what I mean? You're just further trying to do more for beings, non-beings other than yourself. This is all more than us. You know what I mean? So not getting too in our own ego. The thing is, if people are going to call you out for things that you didn't do, like you're highlighting, it's like, hold up, who are you, and why are you so focused on me? It's kind of like attacking the messenger and not looking at the message. So especially like how you were mentioning, it's like, hold up, if you're using my message too, but you're attacking me, yeah. So people blow me, man. People blow me. All I'm about right now is seeing what we can do. You know what I mean? And so I'm just so happy. Because maybe it was Shanghai, pretty good. It was Shanghai that was like, yo, you got to get JC on the stream, and just further, put out his work. Because anyone that's doing anything, that's why we were looking, what you mentioned, Against Life. Hopefully we can get something with her. We can get you back on. Because I love the, prior dialogue we had from before. And just further putting out like, hey, we're not just, for you guys especially, because I'm out here, I'm just yapping in a sense. But like there's people that are creating work intention, with these different physical things, with us right now physically here. And that's a beautiful thing, man. And for anyone that, you let me know, JC. I love talking shit to somebody that has no righteousness to look to be doing something like that to somebody like you. Because it's crazy that people are putting that type of energy like that unnecessarily. It's like you're gonna waste time doing that when you could have used that energy for something else. So I'm sorry to hear that that's something that you've been having to go through, but it comes with this type of spotlight. When you put yourself, even though it's not about yourself, right? All of this is more than you. But the fact that it's you doing it, it's gonna put a target on your back in a sense. And I guess that might make people try to not want to do some shit. But it's like, hold up, you need to be bold and courageous. Like it's all minuscule. You know what I mean?
Right, because I was, even before I finished the book, I was making the critique that anti-Nazism doesn't go far enough. And I wanted to be specific, and I was discussing what, sort of some of the ideas that I was going to include in my book. And it's just like, why does anti-Nazism need to go further? It's just like, it should be enough that we're saying it's unethical. I'm like, no, it doesn't do anything for the people who are here. And it sort of was stated that basically, I should stay away from pro-mortalism. I should not be advocating for the right to medical assistance. That's too extreme. That's going to make antinatalists look bad. And so that's why I came up with my own term, life abolitionism. So it's not a stand on antinatalists. If they're only against procreation, they don't have to call themselves a life abolitionist. But if you're a life abolitionist, then you are against procreation and you support the right to medical assistance in dying.
Yep, yep. And distinction, I hear it. I hear it, man. Because that's why, say with Shangal with his anti-cosmic voidism, he just saw that people aren't necessarily talking about all layers of reality. So he's like, hold up, I'm going to emphasize this point, right? That's why Eminem had his point with ephilism. He saw that certain, antinatalists were talking within a certain scope. So he's like, hold up. So I get why we have these different terms, for sure, for sure. And for people that create those terms, hone in on your point. You know what I mean? I'm coming with my angle of I'm all that shit. You know what I mean? I'm a human. I'm all this different terms. You know what I mean? I'm one of those bridgers with the messenger. And anyone that has those different terms, I want to hear your point because that point is important. Why we're having these different distinctions. And I get so irritated, that people can't agree because again we're all of the same vibe. It's crazy to me. It's crazy, like how you just mentioned, antinatalists that are like, oh no, a system means of euthanasia. No, what? Like, if there's one thing to see that on, say, like the internet forums with like YouTube or the Reddits, but like to talk to people and if they're really you don't understand why that should be a thing. Like, that's my thing. That's why I'm like, yo, let me put my face out, this, that. Like, people just don't understand. It's my thing. Because honestly, man, it's all leading to the same thing. The secession, eradication of this world. Like, if you're not, that's what I mean with the antinatalist point. If you're not promoting this world, what, in theory, you want this to end? You know what I mean? It's the same thing. So that is like a great placeholder in a sense. Gatekeeper in a sense. Like, if you understand that, you should understand how all level of realities shouldn't be existing. This is what I also say, because there's some people. There was a prior comment when I was on a talk with Mark. Somebody was like, is there a way we can have existence without any entropy? Basically with no suffering. Like if I want to dream up or think of something right there, just out of my own willpower, it can happen. The point is, even boredom is suffering. Even if there's all these things that you can just make up and it happens right there in your reality, there's a reason why you're having to make up things. When we get to the next stream with the Peep in the Mythos, with the dark gnosis, antinatalist, ephilism one, whatever, you're gonna have to understand, if you don't already, this God ability of creating is a form of suffering. It's like all levels of reality are the same thing. Look at our parents. They created us. Why? Why do you want to have to create something, right? That's a form of dependency. That means that your current reality isn't satisfactory. That's why you're wanting these different things to happen. Hence, you're in a sense bored. You know what I mean? And so that's the whole God principle of things. You know what I mean? Creating a fabrication out of something right now that's not holistic, because technically that's why when people think of heaven, nothing's going on. You wouldn't want to be consciously in those states. Nothing. So people don't really understand, like all these different games that we're playing is because at bottom we're bored, let alone people are suffering way worse than others in this reality. But at bottom, this creation element it's a lie, bro. What it looks to represent and people look to talk shit about, it's all a Ponzi scheme, bro. And so I just wanted to mention that. I don't even know how I got here, but yeah, it's just once you can understand, you don't want to create, not in like, what you're doing is great and everything. I'm not talking, you get my point with creating you, another version of you, another copy. Once that's fucked up, all these different terms, it's the same thing. Again, like fucking all these terms that we went through, the one anti-cosmic voidism, I went with Shangal and Mark. Just know that if you're talking within a certain point, that's cool. But if someone's doing something more than you better not be talking shit to them. You better be promoting if you are saying anything. And so, yeah, man, just keep doing what you're doing, JC, because people like you, people like me, I will back you. Give me the whoever send me a screenshot. I will go and yap and talk shit to that person because you're doing the true work. Whatever work that they're doing, they're just here blabbing off of people that are actually looking to do some shit. So yeah, man, let me know because I will I will, come out of the woodworks and be like, who the fuck are you to be talking down at anybody or looking to, yeah, man. I'm sorry that that's been happening, but I know it doesn't mean shit to you. You know what I mean? You just wanted to mention that real quick. But yeah, if there's anything you wanted to say from that.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. What you said about empathy, entropy, because life itself is entropy. Like it was an accident. A bunch of chemical reactions led to the creation of DNA. This is like the most rare occurrence. It's not. It wasn't supposed to happen. It was a fluke accident, and yet, a million years later, we're existing because of that accident. So, this was never supposed to be. It hasn't, as far as we know, it hasn't happened on any other planet. So, I mean, I don't believe that we're just victims of circumstance. I believe that the Gnostic version that we are gods. We're co-creators. We can change our circumstance. We don't have to just give into nature. So we can resist nature and change nature. So yeah, this whole thing is entropy. It's not. There's no order to any of it. I mean, you can try to say there's order because you can ascribe it to some deity to say that God is a creation of all things. No, God did not create this. And if God did create it, then that is entropy also. That means that your God is sadistic.
Yeah, because it just goes back to like the Russian dolls, like what created the god, it's not answering the entire question that we're trying to hone in on. Yeah, and even if from there with any such, it's just it's fucked up. Look at the world. You know what I mean? Let alone other realities. But this is all. It's. I just look at this. That's why people say a term like simulation. I say that to say like this is math going on. This creation life thing. It's people like you, people like me, anyone here listening that vibes and understands the points that we're mentioning. It's all like a domino effect in the sense of, you look at the current structure of the world, in the social mental level, we've come, people say like, oh, we progressed as a society. It's 2026. Why are we still doing this? Right. Well, it's going to lead eventually, like my boy Shangal put here, entropy will do what it does regardless. Just as we're continuing doing whatever we're doing with the points that we're highlighting, trying to be of the uncreate, it's eventually going to warp back to that nothingness. You know what I mean? We're literally those primordial forces right now coming in and expressing that energy in the human language. But that's all it is. You see people like what LGBTQ plus the third, other people, rights activists, this level of activism, it's just further going to this point of nothing should be going on. You know what I mean? So we're all spiraling into that. Anyone that's going the other way, even still, they're gonna decay. So it's all leading to its demise. It's just we can be more harmonic in it, and so that's all it is. That's all it is. Is there any other comments or anything, JC, you want to mention?
No, not on this. I don't know if you have any other questions.
Let me see. Those are the general questions that we initially went through. And I'll look at the comments afterwards if I had any questions further. I guess for what I could say right now, because this was created back in December, I think, from what it said. And you mentioned you're going to look to, you're in the possible works of, doing some form of animation, media, movie, some type of series of that type of media outlet. Um, that, of course, I think was kind of going over this representation because you have another channel. I forgot the name of that channel, the Black Anarchist. Um, Obviously similar points and everything, but if you were to say, because and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what Amber was putting in the comments initially from before, with how like she was saying this would be a good idea for some type of movie series plot. Um, for my idea, you were kind of referencing this book. I was just kind of asking. This is a question, I guess, outside of the book, but for any other work that's of a different theme, even though it's all the same shit. But is there anything else, anything kind of relatively new that you're looking to also look to create? Was what I was wanting to ask.
I do have some ideas, but I guess my whole thing is I'm just going to do it, and I want people to just see the work and not know that it came from me, because I think that may taint it, and it may draw some haters. So I kind of want to just put it out anonymously and just let people judge it for its own merit.
Yeah, I hear you completely, man. Because again, it gets back to the point of just, and it looks like the audio is okay. You can try to unmute yourself while we're kind of wrapping up here, because I don't know, maybe I didn't, but okay, I apologize. Looks like it's still kind of, it's still, you can mute yourself back. I apologize, but yeah, I like what you said there, JC, because it's bigger than us, man. Like I try not to have any ego in this. You know what I mean? Because it could be, that's why I used to not have my face in any of the videos, and like it's just words, putting the point out there, you know what I mean? Like it's way bigger than us. So I hear you, because if that's something that you are repeatedly getting, then yeah, to try to take that attention away from the messenger in this case, right, and just focus any attention on the actual message at hand. Yeah, very important. And yeah, I get that if that's been the case, to just eliminate any such names on these different forms of media that you're doing, because yeah, it's bigger than us. And so with that, man, again, I always come from the sense of like we're all talking the same shit for anyone that's here, and anyone, really, when I see these different people that are of a certain aptitude. We're all saying the same shit. It's just people like you are coming with solutions for us that are here. And there's other people that want to eradicate this, but we're all saying different reasons to why that should be the case. Any type of promotion, maintaining of the world is vampiric, is a great way to just say it, and so it's fucked up. I know like that's subjective to say that, oh, but no, actually is, but you see the objective reality with how the vampiricism is going on, because if we're not here, that's why they don't want these methods, with euthanasia, because that's taking a workload away. I know a lot is getting now to the AI and stuff, but they still want us here. They don't want us to die, so yeah, very important. I'm gonna see if there's any comments, but you can say if there was anything on your mind right now.
Right. I actually found it interesting that I posted a poll on both of my channels, which is, do you think, I forgot how I worded it, but basically I was asking whether they believe that the prohibition on medical assistance in dying was out of genuine concern for our welfare, or if it was to extract value for the benefit of the collective. Like, it was unanimous on both of my channels. Nobody believed that they are prohibiting your right to opt out for your own benefit. Like, I expected some naive person to say that it was for our benefit, but nobody believes that. And so, if this were put to a public vote, I don't know. I think even though they recognize that they still are selfish as hell, a lot of them still would not want their loved ones to have medical assistance. If you can just remove yourself from that situation and just look at it, um, you know, dispassionately. Like, if my brother wanted medical assistance, of course I don't want him to go, but if he wanted it, I would respect his right to that. And I think he would feel the same way. Like I my brother's probably the only person on the planet who I would trust with like that, authority, because I know he would respect it. But I don't know that most people think that way. Most people just they're thinking about themselves. Um, yeah. So that one was revealed. That poll was revealing. I mean, of course, it's not scientific, but there really was no pushback. So
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, we can see it. We can see it. So this is a post. Yeah, I see that you're talking about. In your opinion, does the state criminalize medical assistance in dying? Why do they do it? So genuine concern for the individual's welfare, or is it to extract value from the individual for the collective? So yeah, I mean, we know our channel, we know the community, we know who we're, but even if this was more dispersed, say a certain public figure that's of a higher essence than us for who they can reach, right? Said the same thing, had the same poll. Yeah, it would be a similar ratio. Yeah, that is for the extraction. Even if it's a genuine concern for the, you can probe that and be like, what do you mean? Because it's like, I never understand. The only thing I can understand is this. Okay, if you want to opt out, you should be mentally okay. You don't want to like be that sporadic psychosis in a sense. Like you want to look, like not that crazy, and they like you can be like, okay, like they're level-headed is a good term to say, level-headed, you know what I mean? But yeah, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck because again, there's better things they can do right now for existing beings. Shangal says here, if that was untrue, we couldn't even have conversations, let alone conversations in which we disagree with each other. um Not sure what maybe you were talking about what I'm talking about here with JC Shangal, but yeah, man. I appreciate this post element too with YouTube. Because yeah, this is we know the vibes. Let me see if there is different comments that people have here. They say here in the UK, it is a criminal offense to accompany a sick friend, family member on their plane journey to Switzerland. That's crazy. So you can't even fly with them. It's a criminal offense. Wow. And yeah, someone's saying obviously the latter, they don't value your life, they don't value life, they value compliance. Yeah, yeah, that's a good word there from I can't even pronounce these names. Some guy from Brazil. Yeah, it's compliance. They just want they want you to be apathetic, and just complicit to what they're about. So definitely second one. So that person who accidentally might walk in the clinic, da 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 da. That's why there should be a statement on your driver's license saying whether you want it right now or later. But the default for everyone is okay. So you were responding to this one. The state knows what's in our best interest before we do. The only problem is that we're the ones who have to pay to maintain our own involuntary existence. And then they're saying, well, fear of yourself from making a mistake works well as a weapon against everyone involved. Can you go into this comment? This is because it's always, when you get people that understand what the point is, appreciation. But this guy's coming from a interesting angle. I see you're responding less than a day ago. If you can go into what, I don't even know what they're talking about. If you can.
I mean, I can only speculate what they mean, which I also address in my book, that basically the state controls you through the fear of dying, because the ultimate penalty for violating the social contract is death. And so if you don't fear death, the only thing that really prevents you from violating the social contract are your own ethics. So I'm not going to, I mean, because the only way you can get, under our current system, the only way you can get medical assistance is to commit capital murder. But what prevents someone from committing capital murder are their own ethics, because they can harm someone in order to get the right to die, but they don't want to harm anybody else. So if it becomes a weapon, I don't want to say anything on your channel that might get you in trouble, but it
No, you good. Go
when
ahead.
you don't when you don't fear death, then basically you're dangerous to society. They shouldn't even keep you around. They should be they should be enthusiastic about giving you the right to die because you have nothing to lose, and you can't be controlled. You can't be controlled when you're already willing to go.
Right. Yep, you're a triple wild card. They can't predict. From there, you can, yeah, you're unleashed at that point for sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what they were talking about here. It's like, so you need a driver's license saying whether you want it right now or ugh, whatever. Um, interesting, interesting. But yeah, I appreciate you putting that post up and, doing those different things on your channel there. It's very cool. And yeah, yeah. Yeah, but that was all the questions I had. I just wanted to know the background, the context for what made you do the book, why you chose doing a book. Because especially in this day and age, a lot of us, if we like for myself, I often, if I do read a book, it's not really reading, it's an audio type of thing, putting in like a PDF to text. So I just was interested in that element. And yeah, getting into those different diagrams you had was great to get a lot of that reference points for what we're looking to advocate with what you're putting in those books in the book. But yeah, that's I just wanted to further highlight the work that you were doing, JC, because again, you before Shanghai, you put me on the panel with getting connected to Mark against life DNA in that prior talk we did. So just appreciate you with further placing me to build up some type of community in this stream of things on the interwebs. So I just really have much kudos for who you are and the drive you have, the different channels that you do, all the different work. I mean, I just see the different videos you've been posting. You really, like every one of us here, like Mark was mentioning from a prior talk, he's like this is the only spirit that I have. Anything I else do is like of a certain else, but like this is it. And so I just appreciate you for further dragging me to share some of my own light in this, so that we can continue being of an echo and reach other people, even if it's the same similar audience. We're still changing and remodifying, remorphing our own minds together as a community here. So again, much appreciation to you. That's all I really had. I knew it was going to be maybe an hour, hour and a half type. If there's anything you want to say here while we're concluding.
Yeah, I just want to let everybody know I'm aware that most people are probably not going to read it. It's a very lengthy book, but I have been covering it on my own channel. I've gone through chapters 1 through 9. I'm going to also go through chapters 10 and 11. And so once I'm done, I'm going to create a playlist so that you can listen to it from start to finish. So it's not an audio book, but I did read it, so you don't actually have to read it yourself. So I tried to make it as accessible as possible.
Very important point, because yeah, that's definitely gonna yeah, for the accessibility for sure that will hit. So thank you for looking to take the time out to do that as well, to reach as much for the audience. Okay, so
And I also wanted to thank you for this because the support has been, from the anti-native community has been underwhelming. I mean, I'm not going to say I haven't received any support, but I don't know. I don't, I mean, I don't know. I just expect a little bit more, but it is what it is. Like, it's not that people necessarily have to buy my book. That I'm not in this to make money. I just wanted some kind of feedback to let me know, am I on the right track? Are people getting the concepts, or it's just not what I expected. But it's okay. I would say that I'm probably getting more support from my other channel, the anti-nihilist. I mean the anarchist channel. But I mean, I've had a few people actually buy the book, which I do appreciate that. But in terms of engagement, in terms of actually trying to discuss it, it's just not really there. But it is what it is. Maybe it's not going to be well received the first time around, but hopefully, once I, present it in a different manner, that people will actually start to understand what. Because somebody just told me earlier today that the legal gobbledygook is a little bit. It went over her head. So I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit complicated, but I don't know. I was told that if this book didn't have any rigor, that nobody would take it seriously. So I did have a previous version which wasn't rigorous at all, but I added more rigor so that it would be more substantial. So I don't know. You can't win. You can't please everybody.
That's what I was about to say. It's good that you kind of got a bit of that engagement from that one person talking about, I don't understand what some of the policies you're looking to enact. That's cool. That's cool. And I think now, before I even get further into this point, were they responding like into, like you were mentioning, you have like with your YouTube channel going through different chapters? Was it there that you got that response?
No, this isn't the first time. I mean, like when I go on Finding Notes' channel, and I just did a live stream earlier today where they were on, and she was, I think she was a paralegal, but she was saying that some of the legal the case law was a little bit heavy duty, and um, basically it just requires a lot of thinking to try to process it. So it is a lot of material, but I took a lot of it out. Obviously I can't put everything in there, but I tried to put the case law that I thought was most salient and most on point to the arguments that I was presenting. So it's not all case law. It's probably the first 4 chapters is based on legal analysis, and then it gets into capitalism and democracy and parental responsibility. So it's a mix of everything. It's not just purely legal.
I see. Okay. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, for the engagement, I hear you on that because, when you put out work, you're trying to see, what exactly could have been better, in terms of the actual merit to the, point at hand that you're trying to address. Again, I haven't read the book, and I'm going to actually check out your channel too, because you mentioned you've been doing some, basic audio, on the book itself, going through the book in that way. But for the bases, like we talked about already, for me, for further engagement, like I'm completely like on board, like we should be fighting for those things, on just the merit, ethics, lack thereof, of this existence for people that are being imposed. Yeah, they should be given more equity here, right at bottom. And so that's all we're addressing, whatever way that we can legalize it with the public policy or whatever. But that's the merit to this conversation, right? That there should be more on that side of things and not more promoting putting people here to die, right? So yeah, for that one person, go ahead.
Oh, also, you were asking me if I had any other projects. I was thinking about creating like a Cliff Notes version of it, like maybe 50 pages. That's much more condensed. But I don't know. I don't know if that would help or if that would just water it down. I can do that if people think that would be helpful, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of everything I can do to try to get my message across.
I think those charts that we went through was great. Like diagrams and stuff. I think a lot of people eat off of that and can definitely understand concepts. Okay, cliff notes, like Shanghai was mentioning too, like you were saying, for sure, for sure. But yeah, like you were saying with the charts, diagrams, definitely want to express that to you further. I thought, that different structure of things, even on Shagnall's channel with the anti-cosmic voidism, for the thumbnail, you'll see like he has a diagram explaining the different layers, scales, pictures. That's why we like stories, and that form of media, animation. So diagrams and charts kind of is of a similar principle with that fact. Is again, it's showing an image more so than say words and text. So at least in that respect, I think a diagram, a lot of people say a picture is worth 1,000 words type thing. I think, that can, with a chart diagram, like you've already done, but maybe doing different ones if you want to do anything new per se, on top of what this book is and the diagrams you already have. I think that would be great for sure. But it's go ahead.
Yeah, I just did a recent one where I just basically did a diagram or a flow chart explaining the difference between chattel slavery and light slavery, because people were conflating that and saying that I'm saying that we're chattel slaves. I'm like, no, let me just make a chart so that people can see that it's not the same thing. I'm not saying we're chattel slaves. So, yeah, I think that made it clear for people that these are distinct terms.
Yeah, yeah, that's it does sometimes with these responses, man. Some people it might be new, right? These different concepts or stuff. Because I don't know, that's funny. Because yeah, sometimes we have to use these terms, but like because I said sometimes like capitalism is just another form of slavery, indentured servitude, and yeah, they just think of it of the traditional sense, and they don't understand you're just using that as a reference point. I mean, yeah, that's okay. That's okay. But yeah, shout out to you, JC. Appreciate you also, like you mentioned, for voicing that. Yeah, you're making those different commentaries, basic audio books in a sense on your channel for this too, just to make this further accessible. Definitely, we'll check that out as well. And it looks like Shingal said maybe read it as an audiobook. So yeah, that's what he is doing. Yeah, what you're already doing in your chat. Right, right. That's a great thing that you're doing for sure. Because like I was mentioning, in terms of our current generation of people, people don't read. Ultimately, oftentimes, but having that there is important still. Because still, depending on the person, people that do read, they're more of a certain inquisitive mind, more so. So it's just again with the chaos, whatever means, whatever gets the job done, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Hit it again with the punching bag, hit it on all angles. So I just appreciate you, yeah, taking it whatever way you can get with it. Um, yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, on that note, about an hour and a half in, I think that was a good kind of amount for getting into JC's book. If there's anything you want to say, JC, while we're wrapping it up here.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you again for doing this interview, for drawing attention to this book. Um, yeah, you're the first interview that I've gotten, so this really means a lot.
Oh, for sure, man. We're all trying to do a similar thing. This book, that you're doing, it should further highlight what we're talking about. We're holding people accountable, right? And if this, like I asked you from earlier, if this were to be implemented, people would at least take more intention with what they're doing, so it would be a better reality in the time being while there is a reality here. So it's a great thing. It's a great thing. And it would further make people understand, the fucked upness that they're doing. It's just oftentimes with the current era that we're in, people don't really all the way know that. And we're just trying to further probe why that's the case and try to permeate what you're trying to say here. Like, we need to value these lives, that we're putting here to have to die. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? That's what I mean. Like, generations ago, oh, discrimination, black and white segregation, or whatever else that was so fucked up in history, past times. No, we're still putting people here to come and die. What else is worse? Like what else they said before of like sin, we kill other life forms. Well, we're putting our own loved ones here to die. Like what? So it's all the same point, and it's getting to how this should all go. Okay, it's already gonna go, right? Good night, guys. And so we're just hitting that same point in different ways, and whatever level that you can hit at, because some people are going to stick on a certain level, and that's fine. Intensify that level to whatever amount that we can, and yeah, for sure. So in that note, guys, We'll be back likely this week. We got Peep the Mythos, a lot of great different media that we'll get into, similar like this. It's a great, stream that I'm glad to do here with JC. Because again, we from the first stream I did with them, he put me comfortable in this light. And so we're gonna get into other forms of media with the conventional movies and shits. I'm sure some of you guys have gone through those different whatchamacall, TV series and movies. So if you haven't, I definitely would encourage you to do so because that's what the next stream is gonna be. I think it's this Thursday. I have it on the channel. So that'll be another good time and making people further understand these points, even if they don't like it or not, for those other creators in that conventional, traditional sense, they're telling the same story that we're also highlighting here. My boy JC with this book, he's highlighting how this reality, there's problems, right, that need to be fixed and solved, right? We're currently born here. There's all these different forms of suffering that we're going through, right, that we need to fix. So when you look at any form of media, you're going to see problems, right? Fabricated, flawed reality, right? And so we're going to see a similar plot template that we'll look into so that we further understand when we watch another movie again or, TV show, you're going to see that gnosis, like my boy JC put in his book, that permeates whether we like it or not. That Gnostic premise is within all forms of reality. So we'll look into that with later, I believe this week on the 5th. But yeah, guys, I hope everyone has a great start of the week and month, being that it's a new month apparently. And we'll be back again. But until then, peace and chaos.